What's up, my good people of the internet? Dan Tortora here with Isaac Alford for another edition of Tortora and Alford, a product of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of Dan Tortora Broadcast Media. And we are here for you inside of the Cafe Kubal studios on this edition of Tortora and Alford to bring you our post-game thoughts on Syracuse at UConn. And they just found out you can't. Do everything you want to do. I was going to say it a different way, but then it sounds like something else, and I don't want to get in trouble for that because I know it's the internet, but I don't want to go over there. So, with that being said, Tortora and Alford, of course, myself, Dan Tortora, Isaac Alford, here inside of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. I had to bust out the pinstripe hat today. You can see that it's all white.
You
and
feeling on a little bowl fever here or something?
Yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah, there we go.
Little pinstripe season. This was the first one. The second one was against West Virginia. If they forgot, they've lost the last 4 in a row.
Oh yeah.
So,
we constantly remind them that, you know.
Yeah, nothing like what's the song that they play at the end of their game? What is?
All I do is win.
No, they play that mountain song. What the heck?
Oh, West Virginia. Yeah.
West Virginia.
Okay, gotcha.
Mountain Mama.
So yeah. Back home, back roads to whatever.
The last time Syracuse played West Virginia, they played that in the locker room, and the guys were like dancing to it.
It's
crazy.
a nice song. Don't get me wrong, though. Yeah.
By the way, that kind of makes me ask the question: why do the Boston Red Sox, Syracuse play? So many teams play Sweet Caroline, but none of them are in Carolina.
I don't even know if we even played in Carolina.
I don't think you do.
Yeah.
And it's like playing Sweet Home Alabama and Wyoming.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it.
Fit.
No, but it's like Sweet Caroline, and then people like always singing it. Yes. But I'm like, what? Red Sox? And then I'm thinking about Carolina on My Mind, which is from James Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
And that would make sense. And the fact that I'm a single man and I love my Carolinians, and I always have Carolina on my mind. Did I tell you that? Oh, we talked about this off the air, I think. And my apologies to anybody. I'm not saying that there's a right or a wrong way here, but that I was talking to a North Carolina and a South Carolina lady down in Florida at the same time, and that I said that the middle of the table was like the Mason-Dixon line is what I called it, because I was talking to them, and the girl from North Carolina, she's like, wow, that sounds crazy, Dan. She's like, I'm sorry, that's a little bit weird. And then the other girl was like, them there, and I'm gonna tell you, and then my mama said that I would never none do that. And I'm just like, North Carolina, subtle. South Carolina, I looked at her, I went, bling, ding, 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 ding.
Oh, it's full-blown South Carolina. Oh, yes, all the way.
Yeah, Isaac's family just disowned me. But the funny thing is I heard you talking to your sister before we got on the air, and she has some of the same things that you say.
Okay.
Like you hear, she says it the same way, but like some of those pieces of you that I think are endearing, she also has them, and I'm like, yep. You could tell, like, there's that connection.
Brother-sister connection, yeah, exactly.
That she has kind of the same responses that I was like, wow, that's really cool. Like, you see that in families where you have that connection and similar things that you say. But, yeah, no, I didn't know if every girl in South Carolina, if their accents were so thick.
Yeah, I think the farther south you go, the thicker it gets, too. So
except for Florida.
You talking about, that's what I was getting ready to say. You get to the Florida line.
You get to Florida and you got, like, New Jersey, New York. And then you go to, like, Deltona, and they're like, hey there, boy. Do you know where you are? And I'm like, no, because in Orlando, nobody talks with an accent. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
they could be from somewhere else in the world. So, yeah, exactly.
I remember I went into a gas station in Deltona, and I was wearing a mask. And when I went into the gas station, some people had a mask on, some people didn't. And the people that didn't looked at me, and I looked at them, and I go, this is not... I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, this is not political. I'm just in a different state, and I want to be able to go home to New York and not quarantine.
Right.
So I was just like, I don't know what to do. But this guy looked at me in the gas station like, oh, I know who you are. And I'm like, no, I'm just trying to be safe. And gas stations are nasty anyways with, Britney Spears walking with her bare feet. I said, any person that goes in barefoot into a gas station... You don't have to wonder, is she crazy or is he crazy? Like, if you're barefoot in a gas station bathroom,
that confirms it.
My prayers to the person that's dating you.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and then Britney Spears shaves her head and then she grows all her hair back and in between, if you didn't see the in between, you're like, wow, she was beautiful and she's still beautiful.
Yeah, that to each his own, I guess,
But I'm gonna tell you something about Beautiful Crazy. It is a song. It is true, and every time the song's on, I shut it off because I don't want to be reminded about how many times that I dated crazy.
Yeah.
It just so happened to be pretty.
It's a deadly combination, you know.
People say that all the time. They go, Dan, but they're hot. And I said, some men and women are hot because the devil made them so close to hell. So they're smoky, right? There's a difference between attractive and hot. And people say, well, why are some of the hot ones crazy? I said, because I think the devil made a few batches. And, they just let you know how close they are to, the heat.
Don't get burned.
Don't get burned, folks. Isaac and I are both single. We don't have to go home and worry about thoughts that somebody's going to say about this. But you that's giggling right now, you might be sitting next to somebody going, oh, really, huh? They always say that. They're like, if you're looking around at the comedy club wondering, who is he talking about? He's talking about you.
Yeah, we know who you are. Yeah,
like when they say that friend and you don't know who that friend is, well, because you probably that friend.
You're with them.
So, speaking of things that have been problematic, not Syracuse.
Yeah.
Syracuse has been rising here. UConn has been the team that's been put out to pasture. And the unfortunate thing about UConn and the conversation of all this, to link this back to men and women made from hell, but no, just kidding. But in no offense, we're kidding. I think Connecticut, UConn, you're a great place, great people, and have had some great coaches and great players, and a lot of people I've gotten to talk to. Bob Diaco, always good to me. Randy Etzel, connection to Syracuse. My guy Obi Melifonwu, Iffy's older brother, that played at UConn and got drafted to the Raiders at the time in Oakland. So, UConn has fallen on the reality that when the Big East football went away, UConn was one of 3 teams that carried over from that into the American, and then with Temple coming back making 4, UConn made a decision a couple seasons ago that they want to go back to the Big East, which doesn't have football. And when they went to the Big East and sent all their sports there, including basketball, and they wanted to have, obviously, the lure of the garden and all those things, that's all well and good. But allegedly, they thought in their infinite wisdom that the American, they were going to go, oh, we're taking all of our good programs and we're going to leave our 1-3 win football program in here. And apparently they told the American, like, don't worry that we're leaving because we're gonna leave you a little nugget here. You can keep football. And Mike Oresco said, if you leave, you're going to take it all.
Yeah,
including your 1-11 football program. So Randy Etzel gets done dirty. He comes back for a second time after leading them from FCS to FBS, Division I AA to Division I-A. He goes to Maryland, comes back to UConn. They're in shambles again, and he tries to fix it. And amidst trying to fix this program, they become independent because they had no plan if the American wouldn't keep them. So then they get left out there like UMass, and now they're the team that everybody schedules to beat. Randy ends up leaving. They hire Jim Mora Jr., and I said they must have given him a you-know-what ton of money to get him to come to that program. They play in week 0, what they call it, because most teams started the next week, and they're 1-1. And I said Syracuse needs to make sure they don't trip in this game because it shouldn't be an issue. They just need to stay focused. UConn is not what it used to be. They have obviously struggled, and Syracuse blew them out on the road.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just like you said, in week 0 with them playing, I believe it was Utah State, they came out in a pretty good first 2 possessions. I think they got up early on Utah State, and it was like one of those moments where Utah State, they were like, okay. We need to, they always said that team started off slow, but, I mean, I don't know if they intended to start off that slow.
Yeah.
I think it was a 14-0 lead that UConn had, but that was just enough of tape for Syracuse to look at and say, okay, this is a team we can't just go in and take lightly because they had a decent running back. Unfortunately, they lost their quarterback in their first game. They lost the receivers and another receiver. So they was kind of banged up, kind of like Syracuse. We lost 2 players in our first game. They lost some key players, in their game too. But, again, they still had the running backs that, even in this game, you look at the stats here. One of the running backs broke off a decent run for their first score of the game, and then I think they threw a tunnel screen, a wide receiver screen. The guy took it to the house. So they have athletes, and so I commend Syracuse for coming in, taking this very seriously. You know, they were well in control of this game from start to finish. It wasn't. I don't think it was really in doubt. They executed. They handled their business. Garrett Shrader was very accurate in this game again. You know, two straight weeks in a row. You know, the offense came out and cleaned up the penalties like we was talking about earlier. You know,
Yeah.
so definitely was. I guess the old coach's motto is that, you know, the team from week 1 to week 2 gets better. So if this is getting better for Syracuse, hopefully they can continue that momentum. You know, as they go down their season, it's only going to get a little bit tougher as they get deeper into their schedule. But no, they did what they needed to do against this UConn team and got some of the backups in late in the game to get a little bit of experience too.
Yeah, you know, when we look at Garrett Shrader, has started off the season 38 of 48, which is 79.2% completion percentage, was 18 of 25 against Louisville and 20 of 23 in this game. 236 yards against Louisville passing, 287 against UConn, so that went up. His completion percentage against UConn was 87%. Against Louisville was 72% to make it 79.2. No interceptions through the first 2 weeks. 5 passing touchdowns, and has scored on the ground in both of these games. So he has at least 1 passing touchdown and 1 rushing touchdown in both of these first 2 games to start, showing he can do it on the ground and through the air. And Shrader ending this game with 5 touchdowns, 3 passing, no interceptions, 20 of 23, like I said, 287 yards. And on the ground, 13 of 24, only 1.8 yards per carry with 2 rushing touchdowns. So he ends the game with 5 total touchdowns, no fumbles, no interceptions.
Yeah, I think through the first 2 weeks I want to say they're like +4 in the turnover margin. No, +5, I believe, in turnover margin.
Oh yeah, because
they
didn't turn the ball over in the last game.
Yeah, they didn't turn over last game either. So they would have. I think they had 3 against Louisville.
Yep.
I know they had a sack fumble in the UConn game. I thought there was another. You might have to look at the defensive stats, but I want to say it was like +4 at least at a minimum. So which is a good thing to start the season off, not turning over the ball.
UConn had 2 fumbles lost, so that means that Syracuse is +5 in the turnovers.
+5, okay, yeah.
No turnovers for Syracuse in the first 2 weeks. Knock on wood.
Exactly.
You know, so no turnovers in the first 2 weeks, forcing 3 in a row against Louisville in the second half, which came after my tweet where I said it's worth noting that neither team had turned the ball over in the first half, and then Louisville turned it over 3 times. Almost 4 with Michael Jones when he did the spin move, came up the middle of the offensive line, sacked Malik Cunningham, and Malik fumbled the ball, but his offensive lineman recovered it. So that was 3 in that game. Syracuse had none. In this game, Syracuse had none, and they recovered both of the fumbles by UConn. So that puts them at +5 through 2 weeks, which is really, really nice to see. And Marlowe Wax and Michael Jones, the linebackers, each getting a fumble recovery.
Yes. Yeah, as a matter of fact, yeah, that was on the muff punt. That's what the second turnover came from. But you definitely need that. You hear coaches always talk about that, you know, winning the turnover margin in the game.
Yeah.
And definitely they won all 3 phases, offense, defense, special teams. So far, you know, they're off to the right start.
Yeah.
I definitely could notice the difference. I don't know if you noticed in that first game, and they did it in the second game too. The Robert and I offenses. Now you see the quarterback come to the line and he's checking plays. You know, they always did the whole clap, look to the sideline to get the play adjustment. But now there's hand signals that Shrader's doing with the receivers, kind of, you know, letting them know this is the play. That was something you didn't see last year, you know. And that's something I think if you give enough confidence in that quarterback to come to the line to read the defense and make changes and put the team in the right play, I think that says a lot about what he did in camp in the fall to come out and win the job and the trust they given him in the offense. So I really like that. And, you know, we always talked about the middle of the field is always open when we played when Syracuse played. Now we're starting to see those plays happen downfield across the middle of the field.
Yeah, Syracuse using all those tight end plays and all those middle of the field plays that anybody would use on 3rd and 5, 3rd and 20 against Syracuse to see. And I've always said that to you, like, why don't they do what's being done to them, use that medicine against somebody, right? And utilize the opportunities over the middle. But yeah, no, I think it's great. And I think with Coach and I and what he's doing with this offense is, we're a couple games in and hopefully it continues to improve. This is not a fluke, right? He was at Virginia with Jason Beck, the quarterback's coach, under Bronco Mendenhall, and they helped the Virginia Cavaliers, I believe, last season be like the second offense in the country.
Yes.
And so, when you look at what they've done and how it's gone about, I mean, if Coach and I is getting them to do different things on the field and be able to like make motions and kind of let each other know, if they're learning that, they get the lingo down, right? If Garrett Shrader can look at you and do a triangle, and then everybody knows what that means, I mean, with all due respect, that you got to remember it, but it also dumbs it down and makes it easier, right? We remembered shapes and colors as children. So little things like that, or, doing a one. I mean, if you're a quarterback, you do a cowabunga, and like the guy knows, okay, then we're going to send one guy deep or something like that. Or, if we do cowabunga and I go and I go across my chest, then that means that we're going to send a guy in motion to go down. I mean, different things. And I'm sorry, Coach and I, if I took anything, I'm making this up right now.
Right,
so
exactly.
But the reality of it all is it's better than what we saw when Dino first came in, which was a bunch of, foam boards that had SpongeBob on it. And I could never for the life of me understand what SpongeBob #2 Batman means.
Right.
And maybe those were good plays and maybe they made sense. I don't like SpongeBob, so if you put SpongeBob up there, I'd be like, I don't want to run this damn play. But SpongeBob and I have a loathe relationship. I've never liked SpongeBob. It's one of my, we're gonna bring the whole post-game show into dating today. It's one of my dating things. If a girl tells me she doesn't like watermelon, she likes SpongeBob, she's a cat person, these are all immediate no's from me.
Red flags.
Yeah. Like if you're a cat person, it means that like you're used to ghosting people and disappearing. If you're a SpongeBob person, you just lack intelligence. And if you don't like watermelon, you just hate water and sweetness. And water is 70% of your body, and I'm very sweet, so you're not going to want to taste my kisses if you don't like watermelon. So, let's be real about that. To the ladies out there, if you don't like watermelon, you like cats, and you're a SpongeBob fan, it's not going to work.
Well, but cats are independent, though. I mean, I kind of get that one a little bit, but yeah.
Cats are independent, but they can also, like, be at a strip club getting hepatitis, and then they come home and they, like, get in there and lick your face, Like, what other animal do you let go for a week and you go, they'll be back? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I was like, if you're in a relationship where you're like, oh yeah, Roger left, but he'll be back, then you're in a bad relationship, right? If I'm like, oh, my wife's gone, she'll find her way back. She knows how to get home. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then have that wife come in and be like, did you just make watermelon? And she left again. By the way, keeping up with the Kardashians, if you watch that or The Real Housewives of anything, it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
I had a girl tell me recently, I was like, I don't know why we were talking about it, but I go, don't tell me you like the Housewives. She's like, oh my God, which one? I was like, they're all the same. And I was like, it's rich women yelling at each other about nothing. And then she goes, well, I love and I said, what about the Kardashians? She goes, I love those too. And I went, oh, sweetheart, this'll probably be the last conversation. I'm not saying people can't be different. But any person that tells you I don't like drama, I don't do drama, but I like to watch other people, anyone who watches drama and enjoys it is secretly, but not so secretly, the longer you're with them, going to be dramatic.
Oh, it's going to be some drama regardless.
If they watch the train wreck, they are the train wreck.
Mm-hmm.
Trust do. So you
attracted what you do.
Right, yeah, you are what you eat, right? And when we ingest that Kardashian nonsense, it's crazy. But, on the positive side of things for Syracuse, scoring 48 points in a game, typically that only happened when you were playing against Brian Ward's defense. And to see Syracuse do this, and it's no offense to Brian Ward, it's just statistically, it's not a manhunt. It's just Brian Ward gave up the higher, if you go back to his history, and I wrote an article, Defense by the Numbers, as he rose in his career to better conferences and better competition, he gave up more and more points. And at Syracuse, he gave up 31 points a game, 38 points a game. In that Pittsburgh game, 70-something, I think. And at the end of the last 3 games of that season, he averaged giving up 54 points a game.
Yeah.
So to see Syracuse give up 14 on the road, which a fan said to me, they go, they should handle UConn. but I'm afraid of going on the road. Because a lot of Syracuse fans remember, even with Barone and some of those good years, the road was always a problem. So for Syracuse, mind you, folks, now they're playing 5 of their first 6 games at home, which means they're playing 5 of their last 6 games on the road.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to go to a lot of places, folks, and they're going to be battle tested. You know, after they play at home against Purdue, Virginia, Wagner, and NC State, they're at Clemson, home against Notre Dame, at Pitt, home against Florida State, at Wake Forest, at Boston College. So this year they have, 1, 2, 3, 4. So they lucked out this year that in the 6-6, they're not playing 5 of 6 there because they do have the extra home game. Mm-hmm. Syracuse plays 7 at home, 5 on the road. That doesn't always happen.
Right.
And sometimes Syracuse would give that game up to MetLife.
Yeah, neutral site or something like that. Yeah.
So Syracuse will play 3 of their last 4 on the road, and they will play 4 of their last 6 on the road. But they do have that extra game. And, you know, Notre Dame coming here, that's a game that you would usually see at MetLife instead. So that's the change, so to speak.
Right, and that's a bonus for the fans, you know.
Yeah.
Definitely, you know.
The fans used to get that at MetLife and freak out. And I mean, rightly so. Fans would say, why am I going to buy a season pass when the best game is being played in New York City?
Yeah, that's a very true statement. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, or Penn State game, you know, they playing
or
Penn
USC.
State. Yeah, exactly. So those are the games that you want to bring back to your house. Have your fans pack the dome and you know, cause the loudness that they always do, you know. So, yeah, definitely an advantage for the team to have those 7 home games.
Yeah, and it's not easy for a Syracuse fan to go down to New York City, the amount of money you have to spend.
But it's New York, though, right? Isn't it like a home? When the basketball team plays at Madison Square Garden, they said,
called the home away from
home.
You know,
even though Boeheim never leaves the state, whatever.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if MetLife is a home away from home, then Syracuse has never won at home. So, you know, I watched that USC game. And by the way, there was more USC fans than SU fans. Mm-hmm. There was more Penn State fans than SU fans. There was more Notre Dame fans than SU fans. Because going to New York City is kind of like going to L.A., in that outside of like the Mets and the Yankees and the Rangers and like the Islanders and whatever, like the teams that are there, you got fans from everywhere.
Yes.
Like if you're in New York City, a lot of those Yankee fans I feel like are Notre Dame fans, and so they're not necessarily going to give you that Syracuse love.
Right.
I remember when Syracuse played Kansas State in the Pinstripe Bowl, I remember saying to myself, I'm at Yankee Stadium. I'm in the state of New York. If I see more purple than orange at the stadium, I'm going to freak out. Mm-hmm. Because there's no reason why Syracuse shouldn't have 40,000 to like 27 Kansas State fans.
Right.
So, and y'all showed up for that, and I appreciate that. But finally getting Notre Dame back in the Dome, I feel like, you know, this is a beautiful thing. Now, Isaac and I will probably be sitting on the top of the Dome because they're always nice to the press when they have a big game like that. They put us in the 9th row when there's only 4 rows. But, you know, we got to make space for everybody. Got to make sure Notre Dame feels comfortable. But I would hope to think that, I mean, you know, worst comes to worst. If you look at the middle giant, like, sound system, all the stuff in the, you know, that giant display of sound and light in the middle of the field, Isaac and I will be sitting on top of it. Like the Ninja Turtles did in Madison Square Garden in that movie. And we will be eating pizza, and we will drop some.
There you go. Yeah. There you go.
So you'll see us out there. I'm going to do some gymnastics. I'm going to bring some La Nuba, some Cirque du Soleil. So, and then Isaac is going to, you know, this is tradition now, that since we saw someone else do this, Isaac's going to run across the field and not get caught.
Oh, you got to. So, why not? It's Syracuse.
So Syracuse wins 48-14. That means Syracuse has scored in their first 2 weeks 79 points while allowing 21.
Yeah, very good.
Tony White only gets better as a D coordinator, and Coach and I has already made an impact to the point where fans are already 2 games in, feeling like this could be the turnaround.
Yeah, I think so too. Even after the Louisville game, just speaking of fans, I mean, the fans turned out last night in UConn. You know, that's all I could hear in the fourth quarter was the "Let's Go Orange" chant. I mean, that's a, you all
got to show up at UConn.
Yeah.
Because you know that rivalry used to be pretty thick as thieves, and you know on the basketball court, Emeka Okafor and all those dudes used to, people forget, there's
some battles.
Some bows dropped on that. It wasn't just, people think Syracuse, Georgetown, y'all aren't paying attention to Villanova, Pitt, Syracuse. Syracuse, UConn got dirty as hell sometimes on the basketball.
And those are some of the great games, either in Connecticut or at the Dome. Those are some good games back in those days too. But definitely though, the fans showed out last night, and like you say, they're starting to believe what they're seeing, and this next game coming up against Purdue is going to really tell us a lot. And I think if they keep the momentum going, like I said before, it could be interesting to see how far they can take their streak going. Maybe they can start off the conference, maybe undefeated.
Yeah.
But we won't get ahead of ourselves, But it is definitely a good start. It's been a while since they started 2-0 in the season, so definitely a big achievement for those guys.
Yeah, and Purdue, and the funny thing about this is, whenever I see Purdue, I think about on one of my first two dogs, Mordew. And Mordew, both ending in DUE, and I would always think of him. And the Purdue game is on Mordew and Cinnamon's birthday, which is September 17th on a Saturday at noon. So I know that my dogs up in heaven are going to be watching that one, going, "There's no mistake, it's on that day, Dan." Because I never thought I'd see Purdue in the Dome. It's it's not a team you typically see Syracuse play, let alone at the Dome. And so that game is going to be at noon, which is beautiful, because I will be in Jacksonville on Sunday. And I kept saying to my mom, I hope it's not a night game.
Yeah.
Have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. But so Purdue is going to be at noon Eastern time, folks. It's going to be on ESPN2. So this is one of those noon games that's not on the ACC network, and that's because Syracuse is playing well. So we're going to see them on ESPN2. So mostly all of you will get it. But as I told you on the internets, as you know, here on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, and Instagram at wakeupcall_DT is where you can be with me instantaneously by the millisecond. I said after this game, my statement going into the game was Syracuse doing what they did to Louisville, 31-7. If they blow out and they win like a 37-7, like they get a big 30-point lead and win the game against UConn, I want at least 40,000 people at the Dome. They did that, and so I am hoping that the number hits 42 at least, but there's no reason why y'all shouldn't show up. Listen, you can go to Beacon Skiff later that day. You can go Sunday. The fair is over. Elton John is gone from here. What else? You don't have to worry about going to the mall right now. The weather's still... Not that you shouldn't go to the mall. I'm just saying. On a Saturday at noon. Listen, there's nothing else. Saturday at noon, you should be in the seats. I want to see 40,000 plus in the Dome, and it needs to be mostly orange. I know there's going to be some family there for Purdue and all that. Treat them with respect, because we need to represent our city well. And I want to see 42 plus, but I'm going to say 40 because I said after that first game and what they did at UConn, there's no reason why 40 shouldn't be there. I doubled down on that, and I anticipate and expect my hometown to do me right and make sure that the reputation stays strong. I talk highly of you all, so I expect you all to be there watching the game with me, because there is no other thing in Syracuse going on right now except for that game.
Yes, and it's a good opponent, Big Ten team. I hopefully we can see 44. You know how much that number is to us. So, let's get 44 in there. Why not? If we get more, then the more the merrier. So, but definitely it's going to be a noon kickoff. I kind of like the noon kickoffs. You get to the game, get settled in. You enjoy your game, and then you got the rest of the day to yourself. Like you said, you can do whatever you want to do after that. So,
Isaac and I are going to be getting buck wild at Beacon Skiff. Getting them cider donuts. So, ever since we got the cider donuts, I've been wanting a cider donut.
Oh, man. Yeah. I don't know if one lasted before I got on the highway,
Yeah, well, that was the thing. So Isaac was in front of me, and I texted him because we were at a light. Don't worry, I wasn't texting and driving. So we were stopped, and I said, I was like, dude, I'm already eating one. And then he texted me later on that day, and he's like, oh, I had one in the car coming down the road. I was like, so we were both eating them while driving. So always be safe, folks. And I'm not against you eating a cider donut while driving. Just make sure you pay attention, keep your hand on the wheel. But there's nothing like a cider donut. you're going home to your family and you bought a half dozen, you know, you could go home with 3.
Yeah, who's counting? Who's counting?
Right, yeah. You know, what did George Lopez said? Lick it and pass it. That's, you know, right? So you eat what you got to eat. You just tell everybody, I got 3, man. That's all I left. Dan and I split the half dozen. And then I told everybody that Isaac and I split it.
There you go.
You know? But it's funny because then my mom goes, you got cider donuts? Yeah. And my aunt goes, so you got cider donuts with Isaac, but where are they? I said, they're home. Mm-hmm. And they were like, well, you didn't bring any over to the house? And I said, no, they're in my house. Y'all can come over and get one.
You better come fast.
Yeah, better get over to the house. So Syracuse, through these first 2 weeks, big notable pieces here. When you look at the side of things when third down, Syracuse was 6 for 11 in their first week against Louisville on third down. Anything that's like 30+% on third down, I could like 35. I consider good. 40 is really good, and you know, better than 50 is great. So Syracuse on third down, folks, keep in mind here, 6 for 11 on third down in week 1, 6 for 11 in week 2, so they matched it. So they are 12 for 22 on third down through 2 weeks, better than 50% in both of their games. It is hard for teams to be above 50% on third down in one game.
And mind you, though, that first game against Louisville with all the penalties, some of those are definitely third and longs and stuff that we historically see. We don't see the team actually convert those, but a guy like Garrett Shrader with his legs, he's often used, you know, to get out of the pocket, scramble, and get those first downs for us. But that just tells you the efficiency of this offense. You know, they hit passes, you know, getting people open at the right time, the back shoulder throws on the sideline, things that we've rarely seen before this year out of a Syracuse offense. You know, we already tried the Orange is the new fast thing, but being fast and not efficient is not good. You know, fast 3 and out is not good. This here, you know,
you want to bring it back to relationships? Being fast doesn't mean you're efficient.
Exactly. But this offense, you know, they're in control. Like this last game, we were just talking red zone. You know, they were 6 for 6 in the red zone. You know. You know, again,
and all touchdowns.
One field goal and the rest were touchdowns. But Schmidt got a field goal in there. I believe.
Was it in the red zone?
It might not. Look it up.
Yeah, because if we look at it, so they were 6 for 6. The field goals were outside of it. It says PAT.
Okay, gotcha.
So Syracuse in the red zone against UConn was 6 for 6 for touchdowns.
Right.
And then 2 for 2 outside of the red zone, which made Syracuse a perfect 8 for what it gave them. Both of their field goals made by Schmidt. But how about this? In the red zone through 2 weeks, Syracuse is 10 of 10, and 9 of those 10 are touchdowns.
Yeah. Usually we see 9 field goals.
Oh yeah.
In recent years
from the 5 or the 4 yard line.
Right. So that totally a 180 on that one that they're doing.
10 for 10 in the red zone. So better than 50% on third down and 100% in the red zone. That means anytime they are within the 20, they're coming away with something, but 90% of the time, touchdown.
Yeah.
And people are going to say, well, yeah, Dan, Isaac, they played UConn, they played Louisville. Listen, Louisville, their defense woke up. They were intercepting the ball against UCF. They were not allowing touchdowns. No matter what UCF did in the second half, Louisville played a good game against UCF at UCF in the bounce house. And, you know, keep in mind that, you know, UConn is trying to get back here. But this isn't a game where Syracuse typically, you'd see UConn and go, okay, they're not a great team. Syracuse would win 17-14. They won 48-14. Right? And the thing about efficiency is, okay, UConn's not Clemson, but at the same time, how many times did Syracuse play Villanova, play UConn, play Duke, and they were not 100% in the red zone?
Stony Brook.
Right, and they weren't 100% in the red zone.
Colgate.
And weren't 100% in the red zone. You know, Liberty, and weren't 100% in the red zone. So, you know, it says a lot about them that you can't take away from them. They shouldn't. That, you know, they 12 of 22 on third down through 2 games, 6 of 11 and 6 of 11, and then looking at the fact that they are 100% in the red zone, 90% of those touchdowns, and then Andre Schmidt's been making those field goals, the former Lou Groza Award winner, the nation's top kicker award winner, and Andre Schmidt won it, but let me just write in the fact that Nate Trout and Gary Anderson and Alindo Mare
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of these kickers in Syracuse history didn't win the award that should have. Andre should, and I'm very proud of him. But when they said he was the first Syracuse kicker to ever win the nation's top kicker, sorry, that's wrong.
Yeah. Syracuse historically have been producing some great athletes that didn't get the accolades that they should have received in recent history. So
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah. So we've
Sean
seen
Tucker
that.
won't get a Heisman, but not that he doesn't deserve to be in the conversation.
Right. Exactly. Speaking of Mr. Tucker, he can rush for 100 yards again, in this game. So.
Yep, back-to-back games for 100 yards for him. So we talk about back-to-back at least 70% completion percentage for Garrett Shrader. Back-to-back Garrett Shrader scoring on the ground. And Sean Tucker back-to-back games where he scored on the ground and back-to-back games where he had at least 100 yards rushing. So he is continuing his consistency here. Garrett Shrader's continuing his. And Sean Tucker also caught 4 passes for 17 yards, which gives him back-to-back games where he's done that. He had 187, back-to-back games where he's ran and caught.
Mm-hmm.
First game, he had 187 all-purpose yards. And in this game, he ends the game with he ends the game here in this one with 129 all-purpose yards.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? That's a good thing about how even Dino talks about it. We know how important and how good Sean is to this team. And I think I was listening to the pregame show, and they was asking Dino about the question of, how to get the ball to, if that's not by design with passing the ball to Sean out of the backfield. And besides handing it off, and Dino said something to the fact that, if I could get it to him any other way besides just passing and handing it out to him, if there's another way to get it to him, we'll find out that way too. But that's the good thing about, focusing on, Sean, a team will, do their film study on Syracuse, and then, as you can see in this UConn game, the ball started getting distributed to other people too, besides Sean in the passing game, which I thought was, to me, they give him little pieces here and there. They're not showing the whole playbook. They're doing enough, and then as long as they have the lead, then they go back to doing whatever happened, whatever was successful in the beginning of the game. They just repeat those plays again. But definitely, Sean is the good decoy sometimes, and it helps keep other people on the field getting open opportunities. So we'll see how other teams react to whether they're going to focus on Sean, because we've seen it in the past. What would you do last year when Syracuse has this great rushing attack? Stack the box. Right, beat me with your arm. So now you got a quarterback throwing 79%. What are we going to do now? So.
And back-to-back weeks where Syracuse has had a double-digit first downs on the ground, so in the first game against Louisville, 13 rushing first downs, 9 passing first downs, 13 rushing first downs for Syracuse against UConn, but 14 passing first downs. So you see that Syracuse was able to up their passing ones by 5, and Garrett Shrader to pass the rushing ones by 1. And you talk about not seeing everything. We can argue that if Syracuse's offense continues to take care of business with their defense and special teams, that we may see Syracuse hold on to some of those pages of the playbook through Purdue, Virginia, and Wagner. Syracuse may not have to show all of their playbook or most of it until NC State and or Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that, can they hold it until they go to Clemson on October 22nd, a day after my birthday? If they do what they need to do and they handle these games they need that they need to handle to get there, Purdue, Virginia, Wagner, we can argue that Syracuse might be able to not have to show everything in that playbook through the next 3 games if they continue the trajectory they're on.
Yeah, and that's going to depend on defense doing their job just the way they've been doing so far. Because once you got a team on the field, we've seen it, the reverse of it. 3 and out, and then now the defense is coming back on the field and getting worn out by an offense that's possessing the ball, constantly gaining first downs, and this is what the Syracuse offense is doing now to the opposing defense now.
27 first downs, you're going to make UConn tired or anything.
Exactly. You're running more plays than the other teams getting a chance, an opportunity to run. And again, you don't have to keep running different plays. If it's working, I say if it ain't broke, don't
fix it.
Yeah, exactly. So
you can call it vanilla all you want, but vanilla is a good flavor.
Yeah, it is a flavor too. So yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So and that's the great thing about it. They got the skill players to have the opportunity to do. And just like this last game, a couple of extra guys came in off and got opportunity to make a couple catches, and it's just building block by block, piece by piece, and you never know. Like you said, when you get to that ACC part, well, actually we already started the ACC, but when you get to that NC State and that Clemson part of the schedule, now okay, we can see what we do best and what they do, and how well those matchups match on the field.
We talk about that 10-3 season for Syracuse when Eric Dungy spread the ball everywhere, and another running quarterback who's a dual threat in Garrett Shrader just spent this last UConn game throwing to 10 different players, which is reminiscent of that Dungy running, doing it on the ground, scoring on the ground, and then spreading the ball out. He has a touchdown, the only pass thrown to your distant relative Damian Alford. One catch for 47 yards and a touch, and that being a touchdown. Aranda Gadsden, Trevor Pena, Courtney Jackson, DeMarcus Adams, Devon Cooper, Isaiah Jones, Dan Villari, who came in as a quarterback, Sean Tucker, the running back, Maximilian Mang, the tight end. Every one of those caught at least one pass, and Courtney Jackson gets a touchdown. Alford goes back-to-back games with a touchdown. And shout out to DeMarcus Adams, who is the FAU transfer, whose first catch, I believe, as a Syracuse player, is a touchdown of 39 yards. A lot of history here, as Aranda Gadsden got his first collegiate touchdown in the last game, and in this game, DeMarcus Adams, the FAU transfer, got his first one, and Damian Alford, the 6'6 player that I got an opportunity to talk to going into the season, I said, taking those couple moments and building off of those, he had a few good plays last year, and now in the first two games, he has a few good plays already, and he has been a factor in both of these games Damian Alford has, which I think is fantastic as we take a look at the Montreal native, who in these games so far this season, like I said, had one catch in this last game against UConn, for 47 yards and a touchdown. And pardon me, in the last game, Damian Alford didn't have a touchdown.
Right.
But Damian Alford coming into this and automatically being a factor on this team. DeMarcus Adams, a transfer, being a factor on the team. And Courtney Jackson showing his face. And Trevor Pena, who's a jack of all trades, kick return, punt return, wide receiver. And then Isaiah Jones, who's a guy that people had asked about going into the season, and like I said, Aranda. So,
Then, they got many players, and I think everybody was wondering who was going to step up in the wide receiver group coming into the season. And there you see it right here. They're distributing the ball all across the group, and it's like you said, when you look at their depth chart, when the last time have we seen the wide receiver position with oars all up and down?
Every single position, every single receiver.
Exactly. So they got capability up and down their group that they can do it. And, if they showed what they can do in practice, that just gives the coaches confidence to put that oar next to their names and give them opportunities in the game. Like I said, it's no wonder why you see just only one reception here, one reception there to a player. It's just like, okay, let's put him in this situation. Yeah. Let's get this mismatch, and then let's see if we can exploit it. And bam, you put it out there on tape to get the other team to see it. But again, there's a wrinkle that's going to come off of that too that we haven't seen just yet.
Yeah, DeMarcus Adams catches one pass, it's a touchdown. Damian Alford, one pass, it's a touchdown. And Courtney Jackson had three, with one of those being a touchdown. And you look at that, not only Garrett Shrader throwing 3 passing touchdowns, but to 3 different receivers, which shows you and shows on film through 2 weeks that Syracuse doesn't have a dominant guy to key in on. So if you're watching the film and you're Purdue, you're going, okay, well, we're not going to send 2 to Courtney or 2 to DeMarcus or 2 to Damian or 2 to Aranda because the ball is being spread out. So through 2 weeks, you don't know where it's going to go. And if you go to one side, they've shown that obviously Shrader can distribute the ball. And so I love that not only has he passed in this past game to 10 different players, but that he had scores with 3 different receivers, which really doesn't help Purdue to know, well, where are we supposed to key, because Syracuse doesn't have that dominant, this is the guy.
Yeah, and I think it's so good that they don't have that. I mean, it's nice to have that dominant alpha guy out there, but sometimes, that just already just a defense can read that already. If you just only staring down one receiver, that's the one thing about Shrader so far this year. His pocket awareness, he's stepping up in the pocket. He can feel the rush coming. There was a couple of throws he made yesterday that I was like, oh, I see the linebacker. Because UConn eventually, even the commentator said it, if you let him play, you sit back and play zone, he was just picking them apart,
Yeah.
But they started bringing pressure, but the pressure still didn't phase him too much unless it was somebody that was uncovered. Of course, that's going to happen sometimes, but he's been stepping up in the pocket, calmly just putting the ball where it needs to be, and, that's all you really can ask for. And then, like you said, he's not focusing on one person. He's keeping all the receivers honest. You run your route, and if I find you, I'm going to go to you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's the beautiful thing about it.
Checking down, surveying the field, not throwing to the option that you have in your brain before you go.
Right.
Actually looking at what the defense gives you. Garrett Shrader just might very well be a little bit smarter and better than what people were saying he was, which is exactly something that I have been utilizing when talking with his teammates and to Garrett, is that from when I saw him throw the ball in spring game a couple of years ago, I said, wow, this guy's got a good zip on the ball. I think he can throw it, and I've defended him all the way through. So Garrett, you might be used to 90+% of the media saying that you can't, but go check the tape on me. Because I never said the man can't throw the ball. And I never said, I told fans, I go, listen, if he's getting in the end zone on his feet or through the air, what do you care?
Yeah, just make a play. That's
right.
All we need.
At the end of the day, you make a play. People get after Tim Tebow for dink and dunk, but they commend Tom Brady for it. So
Dink and Dunk got him 2 national championships, too.
Yeah. Dink and Dunk also got him a Heisman and in the running 3 times. And Dink and Dunk got him a win over the Pittsburgh reigning national champion Super Bowl Steelers at the time. And by the way, he still has more wins than a bunch of number 1 picks, including Jamarcus Russell from LSU.
There you go.
So, there you go. Talk about playoff victories and whatnot. So, Syracuse getting the job done, doing what they need to do here, and definitely a lot of credit to them for the work that they have put forward with everything they've done offensively, defensively, and on special teams. I got to give it up to, we talked about the turnovers being +5 through 2 games, 5-0, and hopefully that stays. But special teams-wise, Syracuse getting better, and may I show some very wonderful and deserved love to my guy who let me be a part and an exclusive part of his road to Syracuse, and that being the man from Merritt Island, Florida, whose mentor just so happens to be Nate Trout, one of the greatest kickers in college football history, including at Syracuse. Brady Denneberg, as a true freshman in Game 2 against UConn, got out there for a little bit. And the guy who will be running for president and vice president with me, I'm going to be pres, he's going to be vice, and vice versa, is my man Enrique A. Cruz Jr., the offensive lineman, whose father took a picture and he said, hey, call DT on Twitter. He said, I see your boy out there. And I sent him back one message, one word. Hashtag Tortora Cruz.
There you go.
So I love seeing that in these first couple games. Syracuse has been so good. And folks, don't forget, as well as Syracuse is playing right now, that this is a luxury that they can put Carlos Del Rio Wilson out there. They can put Brady Denneberg out there. They can put backup O-linemen out there. This is something Syracuse typically hasn't been able to do in the 4-8s and the 5-7 and the 1-10 season. So to see Cruz get out there, Brady get out there, and even DeMarcus Adams, a transfer, get out there, these are some really awesome things because there is no rep in practice that will ever simulate a game.
Yeah, exactly. When the
no
lights,
matter who you play.
Exactly. When the lights come on, it's just different than practice. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, it was good. I did see Cruz out there too, and it does feel good for the team because they're rooting for each other just as first team, second team. It doesn't matter who's out there. When they were out there the second team was out there getting first down. They show the sideline, and those guys are the greatest fans for those guys out there on the field getting their opportunity. as they say, put some film out there on themselves, and that just going to make them better. Because, like you say, it's been all too often we've been on the other side of the game's over at halftime, and now the backup quarterback from somebody else is out there getting his chance to get some game experience, because you never know if you ever need that person down later in the season. But it definitely, that can just tell you the program is kind of going in the right direction, and if they keep building on it, hopefully they can have more opportunities for other guys to get their opportunities to get on the field.
Yeah, normally Syracuse is the one watching them put out their second and third stringers against Syracuse. By the way, the Syracuse Orange have only punted the ball 5 times in 8 quarters to start off the season.
Oh, interesting. And it was only one time yesterday.
Yeah, so it was
great. Yeah.
Great to see them not having to punt the ball very much in these situations, which is a beautiful thing.
I mean, we put out some good punters, though, over the recent years.
Well, I said the punter used to be the leading yardage getter.
Yeah.
The best quarterback on the team was the punter. Riley Dixon, man, the guy, friggin' phenom. Sterling Hoffrichter.
You name him.
Rob Long, and on and on and on and on. So Syracuse, moving on, will play on September 17th, this Saturday at noon Eastern Time. Isaac and I will be inside of the Dome, hopefully with 40,000 plus of you. And this will be Faculty and Staff Appreciation Day. Be nice to your teachers. Be nice to the people that are trying to educate you. And I guess the only thing I would say about school today that I don't understand about school yesterday is the litter boxes that students want because they think they're cats.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Yeah. So hopefully you're not putting litter boxes in your place. I know we just offended they're called furries.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's way after my time.
Yeah,
so
I'm gonna tell you like this: if I offended,
it's great. I don't know nothing about that.
I don't know NATO. So if you want to talk to me about, all I'm saying is China and Russia are watching these kids lick themselves and sit in litter boxes in class, thinking this is gonna be way too damn easy. So get out the litter box. It's not okay to poop in public. You used to get arrested for that. So. When homeless people do it on the streets, it's not okay. But when y'all do it in the classroom, it's considered all right as long as you put it in the litter box. So why don't you just stop that nonsense? And if you're a parent that appreciates the litter box, well, you could be a UConn fan. I mean, what do you want me to say? You're a Rutgers fan.
I don't know.
But I don't think UConn and Rutgers will take it. I don't think Shiano will take any of that. He'll probably, if he saw someone dress up like a cat and sit in a litter box that's a human being, I think he would probably try to go after their ankles when they're taking a knee at the end of the game,
There you go.
With that being said, on Tuesdays we do a thing called, I can feel this like movement, weird PC people getting all, when did politically correct mean dress like a cat? Anyway, so, I mean, it's sexy on Halloween.
Yeah, it can be.
But if I had a girlfriend that told me, hey, when I come live with you, you need to put a litter box in the bedroom, that's going to be the first sign that, she's got to go.
Yeah, she's got to go.
And doesn't matter how pretty she is, if she's sitting in the litter box, it's got to. I call Isaac, be like, man, she got in the litter box today. He'd be like, Dan, you didn't get rid of that girl yet? So we do a thing on the show called The Ingredients to Success, proudly brought to you by Avicoli's, on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York. It is the home of our exclusive conversation, a sit-down monthly conversation with the Liverpool Warriors. And so we get to sit down with the student athletes, coaches, and administration all throughout the year. I want to thank every program, every coach, and every student athlete for letting us sit down with you. It's walking distance from Liverpool High School. It literally takes maybe 4 minutes to go across the street and go into Liverpool High School from Avicoli's. Head out there Tuesday through Sunday. They are closed on Mondays for lunch, dinner, and drinks. Drink responsibly. And, of course, corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool. Once again, takeout, delivery, and catering. Call 315-622-5100. The ingredients to success. The topic is Syracuse football. What are Syracuse, outside of the normal of score more points that John Madden would say, may he rest in peace, what can you say are the ingredients to success for Syracuse to continue to stay on the right side of the win-loss column?
Definitely a healthy O-line, because what the O-line is doing now for both Shrader.
I heard the country
Tucker.
in you were right there.
Oh, did it Shrader?
When you said the O-line. O-line.
Yeah, Coach Klein and O-line,
I love that.
So, yeah, definitely the O-line's got to stay healthy. I was just thinking about that, too, the other, maybe last night after the game,
Yeah.
It's amazing what a healthy O-line can help do for a team, even defensive line, but health is always going to be important for these guys.
Jacksonville Jaguars, I can tell you that the last few years.
And just continue to build on what they're doing. Everybody stay on the field, available. I think they got the right pieces. They buying into what Coach Anai is teaching them, and I hear your interviews with the players. They all say it to each one. Hey, he's teaching us to believe in ourselves, believe in each other. He's bringing the energy, and if they keep that up offensively, they're going to be okay. We know what Tony White's doing with the defense. Yeah. We just keep getting athletes on that side of the ball, and then they going out and balling out. And
how do you send 3 secondary guys to the NFL, and you still have a bunch of guys in the secondary that are NFL? Deuce Chestnut, Garrett Williams. I mean, yes. You got all these guys still.
Yes, and they're all over the field in that defense. So, you know what? Just like I said, health. And continue to build what they're doing, and they can do almost anything.
Yeah, I would say I would definitely say a lot of the things that you said in the O-line, especially, but to give you something different here, folks, I would say honestly, it's the defense to continue to be aggressive and to continue to go after this. Don't rest on the laurels of being +5 in the turnover margin. Every week, you're 0-0 in the margin. And I would say continue to attack, continue to fight, continue to be physical, continue to get after it, continue to contest. Because Garrett Williams, that play on a Syracuse team 5-10 years ago would have never happened. Nobody would have gotten there. Nobody would have saw it. And I'm not trying to knock the guys. I'm just saying, those plays didn't happen on the defense. They weren't put in the right spot. They didn't get there quick enough. The speed was never there. And
it comes through experience, too. Even Garrett probably said it after the game. Hey, we've seen that play before, but... Yeah. I knew what my responsibility was.
When you saw him catch it, and then you saw him run. You saw him catch, this is where the ball is going, and then he had to take off from the left side of the field to the middle, and it just goes to show, even coming off an injury, how quick he's gotten, what his motor's been like, and how his body's gotten better. So I would say defense continue to pressure, and I would say, to Garrett Shrader, continue to just do what you do, man. You are who you are. I love the fact that you've been who you've been, and you're willing to take that tutelage and that learning, and to hear from Coach Beck and Coach and I, and to open up your game and to become more comfortable. You've obviously trusted in their plan, and it's been working for all involved. I would say, outside of that, I think one of the biggest ingredients to success, I'm going to throw it on the fans, is show up. Folks, you got to understand that 4 of the last 6, like I said, are on the road after the end of October. And I think I had mistakenly said in previous shows we play Notre Dame on the 15th. It's on the 29th, so it's after my birthday. That Notre Dame game that Syracuse has, after that, there's only Florida State. And I really want you all to understand that a lot of people don't care about things until they're gone, and I never like being around those people in any type of relationship because of the people that don't appreciate you. And you're going to miss Syracuse football in November and December in Syracuse. And so I would tell you to get out to the game, support your team. If you get in it now, early on here, there's a less of a chance someone will call you a bandwagon jumper. But, I think it's important for the fans to show up. The Loud House was the loudest it's been. I always talk about on the show when my dad and I went to a pit game and we sat behind one of the goalposts in the 300 section, and I had to ask him to repeat himself 3 times because I couldn't hear him, and he was right next to my ear. So I heard that loud enough to the point where it muffled my ears, like I had my hands here a little bit. It's not been that loud since that Pittsburgh game and that time of Syracuse history, which was way back, and it's been over 2 decades. So I thank you for being as loud as you've been. I need you to show up. If you want the Loud House to be the Loud House, you got to be here. So keep getting loud. It is incredible. You brought me back to that point of being a kid for the first time, like I said, in 2 decades. So ingredients to success, your home field should be your best field. And so you got to show up. Syracuse, don't buy the hype. It's great to enjoy it for the 24 hours. It's great to enjoy it at the end of the season. It's great to enjoy it at the end of your career. I'm not saying don't enjoy it. Enjoy it and then focus, because Purdue doesn't care what you did to UConn or Louisville. And so I would say don't buy into your hype, because guys in the past told me that they did that, and that's why the team faltered after 10-3. So stay focused, stay prepared. Defense, keep being on the onslaught. And Shrader, just keep doing you. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Go out there, let it fly, and have fun with it, and be confident. And I think the biggest thing with the Syracuse team is, like with anybody else, I'll tell you something that I needed to hear a long time ago, and I say to myself when I need it. Outside noise, by definition, belongs outside, so don't let it in.
Exactly.
So with that being said, those are the ingredients to success.
Mm-hmm.
And Syracuse continuing to win it here, presented by Avicoli's, corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York. Open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. They have their pizza casual side, fine dining, their bar, and, while the weather permits, the outdoor dining. For takeout and delivery, call 315-622-5100. And I want to thank you all for tuning in live every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Worldwide, youtube.com, facebook.com, and mixlr.com. In Central and Upstate New York and anywhere you are, you can find us on youtube.com, facebook.com, and mixlr.com, all /WakeUpCallDT, facebook.com /LiveNowDT, and on wakeupcalldt.com's main page. Once we go live, you can search the archives anywhere in the world, and most of these are on your CarPlay. And, of course, you can also ask Alexa and your Google Home devices to play the latest episode of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And you can also go to Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, TuneIn, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, and more. And search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Big thanks to all of our Central and Upstate New York partners and beyond for all that you do in our community. And I'm going to leave the final note of Tortora and Alford with Isaac. Final words?
Final words? Let's get it, man. I'm ready to. I'm hyped for the season, I mean, like you say, you're going to miss it when it's gone. And, these times, it's going to go like that. We're in game.
We know it because it's home, home, home.
Right.
Like, it's like bang, bang, bang. You're going to go through this, and then you and I are going to look at each other and be like, oh, crap, we don't have a game for like a month at home.
Exactly. So. Like, where did the season go? But, I love this time of the year. The weather hasn't just changed to that fall, cold football weather just yet. But still.
I'll take 65, 70 every day.
Yes, exactly. So, fans come out, student section's been doing a great job, providing the energy.
Army,
yeah, providing that energy. So, let's do it, I like what I see so far.
Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT, all the time on wakeupcalldt.com as well. And subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com /WakeUpCallDT. For now, from the Cafe Cuball Studios, 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street, all in Syracuse, on the way to the Dome, actually. And you can find them on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius and on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners in their drive-thru in North Syracuse. Fill your cup up right. Pumpkin spice is available. And it is made in-house like their coffees and all their spices and syrups are. So we will see you out at Cafe Cuball. We'll see you at the Dome coming up here for Purdue. This has been your edition of Tortora and Alford following Syracuse at UConn and a 2-0 start. As always, Isaac, thanks for everything.
Appreciate you.
We'll talk with you all soon. And go Orange.
Yes, sir.